Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of Mental Spelunking. In this episode, we talk about Allison's upcoming adventure to the Galapagos Islands and me becoming a new dad. We then talk about the movie The Hurricane and the importance of destiny and human interconnectedness. We then expand on those concepts by talking about how Star's helicopter in Alberta was born and a Toronto Maple Leaf story. We then talk about how one chance encounter outside of Trader Joe's can change your life and somebody else's life, and how otters are obviously the most incredible animals. We then end with a talk about material wealth and how it might change over time. Anyways, we really look forward to you guys listening, so let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 11. Is it 11?
I don't know.
I think it's 11.
Great.
Wherever. We're on an episode. We think it's 11, which is
Double
great.
digits.
Double digits. We're making some progress. You know, we're almost at the 1 year mark since we started this very interesting adventure together, and we appreciate everybody who's tuned in. How are you doing, Allison?
I'm great. I'm in LA. It's sunny. Things are a little chaotic, but I feel
Why are they
good.
chaotic? Like, what's going on in your world? We all know that you're a woman of adventure, so we just want to understand, like, what adventures are you up to?
So many. Uh, let's see. Oh, yes. No, not yesterday. The day before yesterday, I went to an expo in LA on spirituality. I think it was on spirituality. That was very interesting. That's a side thing maybe to talk about at some point. I've never been to something like that before. It was not what I was expecting.
Were they
Um,
selling tickets to go sleep in the pyramids or something like that, or
Maybe, but they were mostly selling a lifestyle.
oh, that's cool.
Is it?
No, probably not. But like, it's like any of this stuff that people push now, like longevity. It's like, only rich people are into longevity because they're so worried that if they die, they're going to come back not rich. But, that's not the point. That's the thing I think so great. We're into longevity now. It's like there's like just a small fraction of people into longevity, and it just happens to be all of the richest people in the world because they're just deathly afraid of dying. It's like, look, you guys are not the elves, okay? You don't get to go live in Amon. Maybe you can live in an Amon resort, but you don't get to live in the actual land of Amon in the Undying Lands. Like you don't get that privilege. So, anyways, keep going.
It was a lot of devices and clothing, and it was a lot of signaling. And I didn't realize that there was a place where one could go to purchase lots of material goods to signal how enlightened you are. It was
Okay.
strange.
I
So,
wish I wish we had Katie here because Katie could bring out all the little random necklaces and rubs and sprays and just everything. Like we have a really good collection of crystals. I think crystals are cool, but yeah, no, like the amount of necklaces I used to wear and bracelets with the right, it's just, yeah.
yeah, it's a whole thing. So that happened, and then I am headed to the Galapagos Islands later this week because we received some grant funding to work with the schools there. So that's really exciting, but that makes things a little right now.
So, okay, so why don't you kind of tell everybody like how that works? Like I've never heard of that. That's cool. So you're going to go to the Galapagos Islands. Like
Yeah.
there's like outside of researchers who and indigenous people like who lives in the Galapagos Islands, like can you choose to live there? Like what like how does that work? And what kids are you working with? Are you bringing kids from LA or they actually
No.
live there? Or like they from South Africa, South not South America or where are all these how does this work?
So it's people indigenous to the Galapagos Islands. I
Okay.
don't know if you can move there. I haven't asked. Uh, there's a pretty decent sized population there, in spite of, at least my perception being that the Galapagos Islands were uninhabited by people. There's a few islands that are inhabited. Our intention is to work with teachers there and train them so that they can share this information with their students. So I'll be there for 2 weeks training teachers, which is really exciting because we just developed a teacher training program. So I'm excited to kind of just go and share it with everybody there. And assuming it goes well, because they'll deploy it and implement all of these ideas in their classrooms for the rest of the year. And if it goes well, we're going to work with the indigenous communities in the Amazon and the Andes as well after this. That's
Yo,
great.
that's super cool. And so how
Yeah.
like where did you get this grant? How did the grant work? Like how does this like did you like petition people down there? Or was it a grant that's from here or how does that work?
It came from a really generous foundation called the Missler Foundation. They're also funding our work with kids here in Los Angeles. And
Legit.
we approached them. Yeah, they're wonderful. We approached them about this opportunity in Ecuador. And since they also have an interest in conservation and they're already doing work in Ecuador, it just had a really nice overlap. So, yeah, it's great.
That's super exciting. And so, like, are you just gonna be full on teaching? Or are you gonna get to like do any cool things while you're in the Galapagos? Like, supposedly, like they've got really cool animals like turtles and all that kind of stuff. And it's like a very enclosed ecosystem. Like, I thought the Galapagos was a UNESCO World Heritage Site or some sort of thing like that.
It might be. I don't know, to be honest. I've been so focused on the work that I haven't thought at all about anything outside of
Well,
it.
I don't know of any like Allison's hair is still wet, and like how I look at it is she like just like I must go into the ocean and ran into the ocean and ran as fast as she possibly could back to her place in West Hollywood and was like, "Hey, I'm here. Like this is me after going in the ocean."
If only. Sadly, no. But that is how I imagine it's going to be when I'm in the Galapagos Islands. Yeah, I'm excited. I am really excited for it. And I'm excited to share with everybody what it's like when I
Yeah,
come back.
for sure. I'm really excited. You got to make sure you at least like let us all know that you're like alive. Like
Yeah.
respond to my texts. Just an FYI. I probably talked this on a past podcast, but Allison is like notorious for responding like weeks later. What are you doing today? Oh, I did this. It's like, no, I asked you that a long time ago. It's like, are you okay? Yes, I'm okay. You can't say that after you got back from the trip. It's like that's the point is that like you went somewhere. I remember when she was moving and she was in some random place and I was like, "Are you all good?" And then like 3 days later, "Yeah, I think I'm good." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like you're already back in Michigan. Like you're already here. Like you went there and came back. It was fine." So yeah.
Yeah, I will be more communicative while I'm there because people are concerned.
Well,
So,
no, it's like it's not like you're gonna go do this in like Afghanistan or something like
yeah,
that. I'm like that's
I think it'll
you're
be
going.
fine.
No, yeah, you're gonna be okay. It's just more. It's probably just more the just getting to the Galapagos is
It's
the
a whole
trek.
thing. It's a whole thing. 30 hours.
Jesus. So like, how does that work? Like, where do you fly into? How do you get there? Like, how does it all work?
I'm flying into Quito, the capital of Ecuador, and then I've got a very long layover, but not so long that I'll get a full night's sleep, but long enough that I had to get a hotel. And then
It's like you're there from like 10 to 4.
something like that. Yeah, I land at 12:30 and my next flight's at 9:30. So
Oh,
I'll
brutal.
probably, yeah, it'll probably be between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. And then I fly from there to another small airport and then from there to the Galapagos. I had always thought that you had to take a boat.
Yeah,
So,
I thought you'd like. Yeah, this is like I have this whole vision you going like up some
yeah,
river into
me
like
too.
and it goes out the mouth into the ocean and then you just like and there's these islands there and
Yeah.
then like we're gonna go and you don't actually have a motorized boat, you have like a sailboat. They're like we don't allow motorized boats or something like that.
This is very much my impression too. And it might be the case between islands. I don't know. You can tell I've done absolutely no research because I kind of just want to show up and see what it is. Uh, yeah, so I'm flying there. It's going to take a while. And I'm really also excited about what I'm going to learn from the people there. It feels more than anything. I mean, I'm going to share our program and train teachers, but there's a cultural exchange that I'm anticipating will happen and that we can bring back some of the ideas and the practices of the people there into the communities that we serve here in the US. And that's really exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, like that's kind of the cool thing. Like so, like I do foundational shamanism, and the guy Michael Harner, he spent his whole life hanging out with all these indigenous groups all over the world, going into their place of going to where they live, looking at their practices and what they do, and then bringing it back to like what his whole goal was to figure out, okay, I want to distill down what shamanism is without all the cultural stuff. But it's he's spent I don't know how long, but like his whole life, like just being with all these cultures. And there's a lot that there's a lot that like we can learn from them. There's obviously some stuff they can learn from us. I think one of the funniest things was they like ended up giving the internet to some like culture like in South America, I think. They'd never had the internet before, and then they just all started watching porn. It's like immediately. Like,
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, you can look it up. It's like that's the first thing they did, and it's like, okay, well, it just shows that there's a reason I'm bringing this up, because there's a play called Avenue Q, and there's a song in it where the internet is just for porn. That's essentially what it's called. And it's like, this play that was written, I think, in the 80s or the 90s, essentially encapsulates everything like that. Because when you give an indigenous culture that's never had internet in their life and you give it to them, and that's the first thing they all do, essentially all it's for. Like, we're streaming this thing over the internet. That's a pretty cool piece of technology. But yeah, anyways, it's pretty funny.
I've not seen Avenue Q.
That was one of the first plays I went to with my wife, and she was sick, and she was quite skeptical. She's like, I don't want to go to this play. I'm like, no, I promise. Like, I'm taking you to a play that's funny. Like, I'm not taking you to some artsy play where everybody's just going to be naked and there's going to be some weird stuff. Like, this is like down the middle. It's going to be funny. And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, and it's got puppets. I'm like, yeah, it's got puppets, but like, it's funny. And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go. So we go, and she was like, she's like, even though I was sick, it was awesome. I'm like, that's, which was nice. But, okay. So
how are you?
Look, I'm good. Like, we haven't recorded, like, we did a pretty damn good job of recording prior to me having a kid. I had a kid, which is, there's really not a whole lot of words to put into it. It's just such like, at the end of the day, it's like, I feel super fortunate to be able to have a child, because, we've talked offline about the journey that it was for my wife and I, and she's a great baby. Her name's Juliet, and she's just a really great baby. She's really cute. She's really funny. I'm reading the Silmarillion to her right now. We're almost done. We essentially just finished with the War of Wrath, and Arendelle won, and it's great, and it's awesome. And the Eagles came, and they beat Anna-Calagan, the Black Dread Dragon. And it's like, this is awesome. And I'll talk to my brother. He's like, well, does she like it? I'm like, well, she doesn't not like it. It's not like she's like bawling her eyes out when I'm reading it. She's going like, I'm like, whatever that means. Like, it means that she wants to learn more about the elves. Like, who doesn't want to learn about the elves? Like, God, the elves are awesome. Like, just great. So, yeah, it's been a whirlwind. I took the last 2 months off. So just to kind of help Katie out as best I possibly can. And that's been great. I've been essentially just like a little manservant, making food and doing all the things that, you have to do that so she can just focus on taking care of Juliet. But, it's funny, like, she'll say things to me like, well, you got to go out today. I'm like, I went and got groceries. Like, I didn't go do anything enjoyable. She's like, yes, but you got to leave the house. You got to leave your room. I have been stuck in this room all day with this baby. And it's just the little things that like, even last night, we went and got takeout, and Katie was like, oh, maybe I'll go with you. And she's like, actually, no, I can't. I actually have to stay here. So it's just things like that, where it's not a bad or a good thing. It's everything changes. You want to go do something with your child. It takes you a while, because you got to get the car seat. You got to get it all together. You got to plan, like, okay, well, make sure I got a couple diapers, make sure I got a couple onesies. Before, I don't think people realize how much free time you have, or how much freedom you had when you didn't have a child. We had a dog, but I can leave my dog in a room. As long as he's got some water and some food, he's going to survive. If I come back, like, I could leave him for 4 or 5 hours. If I come back, he's fine. Like, he's not happy about it, but I can't do that. Like, this child, like, I think we're one of the only species where, like, this kid is essentially kind of useless to take care of itself. Like, you watch, like, an elephant come out, and it's walking, and it's fine. It's like going with its little trunk around. Like, oh yeah, this is great. Like, I'm in danger, obviously. Like, I'm in danger, but it can at least go and like pick some stuff up with its trunk and eat. Like this kid can't do anything for itself. So, you know, it's very much like it needs you, like desperately. Not just it needs you for sustenance, but it also needs you for that unconditional love, like to be able to hold it, you know, skin to skin, all that. So it's been a massive adjustment. Really happy that my wife and I get to do this, and yeah, so that's kind of all I got going on in my life right now.
Was that all?
That's all. Just a little bean. Just a little bean. But I'll say this. So I have had some time to watch some movies. And I watched, have you watched the movie The Hurricane with Denzel Washington? Okay.
No,
So
I've
I'll
not
give you
heard
guys,
of it.
oh, this is a great movie. Denzel Washington plays this guy named Reuben Carter. And it's a true story.
Oh, there's a Bob Dylan song about it.
There is a Bob Dylan song
Yes,
about
I
it.
know the song.
Okay. So what is crazy? So the reason why I want to talk about this movie really quickly is because I want to talk about how when people talk about, well, there's no such thing as a coincidence. There's no such or so, you know, that's just a coincidence. That nothing like this has anything to do with anything else. Like, everything's mutually exclusive. And I would say that this movie really kind of busts open the idea that we're not interconnected and that we're not, you know, there's like, you know, things aren't kind of, there's no destiny and whatnot, right? And so obviously, like, the quick backstory is this is a true story. It's based on this guy named Reuben Carter. His nickname was the Hurricane. There's a Bob Dylan song called The Hurricane. It's about this guy. And essentially, he gets framed for murder. And he goes to jail for a long time. Even worse, he was leaving a bar and he didn't want to drive. So he had this guy drive him home. That guy also went to jail for murder. Literally, like, that is the epitome of wrong place, wrong time. And that guy could have easily just sold out Reuben Carter and just said, yeah, he did it, da 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 da. And he didn't. So he essentially like went to jail. Same amount of time as Reuben Carter. And so there's this guy named Lesra who lives in Canada, of all places, lives, I think, in Toronto or something like that. He's being fostered by these like three people, and he goes to like a book fair, like a used book fair, and he gets Reuben Carter's life story, because Reuben Carter in jail wrote this life story. And anyways, Lesra goes and ends up writing Reuben a letter, and Reuben writes him back, and then he goes all the way down to the States to like see him and visits him in jail. And then he brings his friends he brings the foster people back from Canada down to see him. And then the crazy thing is that these Canadians and Lesra move down to where Reuben Carter is in jail and actually help him get out, like go and find evidence and do all this stuff. And anyways, he ends up getting out. And I'm watching this movie and I'm like in awe. And I'm like, man, this movie, it like, for me, it just shows how interconnected we are. This kid found this book at a used books. Now that's what the movie did. Let's just say the kid went to a Barnes and Noble or whatever it is and bought the book. Let's just say, okay? Even then, like, that is like a little higher power nudge. Like, hey, and then the kid is inspired by the book to then write the guy. Like, he could have just read the book and said, cool, that sucks. Like, poor guy. But no, he wants to write the guy. Then he goes and meets the guy. He goes, like, think of this. This was like back in the 80s, right? Like, you know, he had to take a bus, and he was committed. And it was almost as if there was something kind of shepherding him along, being like, you need to go, you need to go, you need to go. And then out of nowhere, the higher power's like, we need these three adults to like help out, because this kid's 16 years old and like he can't do as much. We need these three adults, and these three adults move down there. And anyways, and the craziest thing was, so he got arrested in the state of New Jersey, and like the state of New Jersey is just like kind of sketch. Like, it's, you know, like it's just a little sketch, you know. Like there was a senator there that just got arrested for bribery, and they found all these gold bars on. Like, who the hell gives people gold bars? And like Like, seriously. His name's Bob Mendez or Menendez. I can't remember. Anyways, you can go look him up. It's pretty funny. And this is like recent. This isn't like 50 years ago. This is like 2 years ago. And then he actually ran. I'm pretty sure he ran for Senate. He somehow like he still lost. It would have been the most like New Jersey thing if he had won, because
Yeah.
it's like the mob's like, yeah, we've got to get this guy in. He can do the collect call into the Senate to vote. It's totally fine. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I digress. But you think about it, right? The thing about this higher power really shepherding him along, being like, because they want to get this guy out of jail, and they do. And then he ends up like working for like wrongfully, he like starts a charity and like helps wrongfully accused people get out of jail and whatnot. I'm like, this is such a great movie about like higher power and destiny and interconnectivity, and like it shows you that we can all be connected. Like there is some part of that Reuben Carter guy's soul that connected with Lesra, and then Lesra's soul then connected with his people, and then all of them were kind of connected, and they worked on one little path to help him get out. Like, think about that. Like, I think it's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah. I'd not heard of it, and it feels so powerful, not only for the reasons that you said about the let's say the non-locality, or the interconnected feels too weak of a word, sort of the like completely entangled space in which we also occupy, but also that wonderful thing about how when you work on the thing that you're meant to work on, just how powerful that really is. And how
Yes.
it can seem, it's one small piece of a huge tapestry of things that happened in the 80s. And yet it had such a profound impact on all the people who were part of that story, so much so that then a movie got made about it. There's something about that tapestry that I find really beautiful, just pointing that out. Um, and that
Like,
we
what
all
do you
get to play a role, in that.
like? Are you talking about like the tapestry of the pattern? Like, essentially, like we're all kind of little stitches in it, and then like we can all kind of get like what? Why don't you kind of
Yeah.
elaborate on
Yeah.
that?
I like that image. I was thinking also of, this is a harder image, yours is better. Uh, if you imagine little patches, let's say in a quilt, but they don't exist in static. They exist in all dimensions all at once, right? And each one is
Yeah,
playing out its own little story, but it's really impacting everything kind of in all dimensions and
yeah,
all
yeah.
directions at once, right? Uh, and how important it is for us to enact that piece for ourselves and for other people. That it's, I don't know, I was reflecting on this even earlier, that sometimes things that seem so small, something about writing someone in prison, right? Or helping someone across the street, or saying hi to someone who hasn't had someone acknowledge their existence. We talk about how those things can have a ripple effect, but if you think about it more from this tapestry perspective, you really can see just how, I guess I can see anyway, I'm not sure if I'm clear on it, like how many different ways that can actually interact, and how vital it is.
Well, I think that this is like look, I bring up the Wheel of Time a lot, and I
Mm.
think that this is why the Wheel of Time is so good with when you think about like I think that what the writer does so well is that like when Rand comes into a city, there'll be like nine weddings, and or like there'll be nine weddings in one city, and then they'll come to another city and there'll be like a murder and like all this other stuff, right? And it's just like he's such a powerful thread in the pattern. Actually, he's weaving the pattern around everybody else. Whereas you don't get that with other people, right? Like, whereas then you have like someone like Matt and Perrin, who are both the same thing as Rand. They're both Tavarin, but they're not as strong as Rand. So Perrin, I think one of the great scenes with Perrin is he has I can't remember if it was Min or if he had a dream, where he had a dream or Min told him about like an ale in a cage, and this is when
Oh, I remember this part.
yeah,
I read this book.
where the ale came, and two hunters of the horn or three hunters of the horn tried to like attack him, and then he killed one of them and they put him in a cage. And Perrin was like, I feel like everything inside my head is telling me not to release you from this cage, but everything inside my heart feels like I should release you from this cage. And then he releases from the cage, and then Gaul ends up like being with Perrin for a long time, helps him with lots of different things. That's kind of where, you know, like a simple act where it's just like releasing this guy from a cage ends up being such a huge, ends up having so many ripple effects going forward. And I think that you can see that in a lot of things in life. There's a great story from Calgary. I'll even use it from this. So there's this guy named, I don't know if I told you this story before, but there's this guy named Stan Grad, and he started this company called Grad Walker, which is like was a really large oil company. Okay, but so he's driving down. I think he's in Texas somewhere, and he's driving down the road, and there's a guy that's like got his car broken down. And like it sounds so cliche, but like I'm serious. This actually happened. Okay, so there's a car broken down, and anyways, so he like picks the guy up, and they like go because they're like in the middle of nowhere, and he picks this guy up, and they're gonna go to go find something that he needs. I can't remember if he needed gas or I can't remember what happened, right? And so Stan Grad like picks this guy up and whatever, they get to talking, and Stan Grad, the guy asked Stan, he was like, hey, like what do you do, like I, you know, whatever, and Stan's like, oh, like I started this oil company, da da da, and the guy's like, oh, like can I like invest in your oil company? And Stan's like, oh, sure, like I can send you the stuff, whatever, right? So anyways, he like sends him the stuff, and the guy's like, yeah, I want to invest this amount, like he might want to invest like a lot of money. And Stan's like, okay. And he's like, and Stan's like, okay, like we're going to close. No problem. He's like, I'll just like margin all my Walmart stock. And Stan's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, like my like grandpa or whatever started Walmart, or was like brothers of Sam Walton. And so anyways, and then Stan Grad Walker ended up selling, and everybody did really well. But then Stan Grad went and started this thing called Stars Helicopter, which is like one of the best charities. It's all these helicopters that go out and save people when they're in like rural communities or on highways to like take them to the hospital. And you're like, hey, so literally we would not have Stars Helicopter in Alberta potentially without this guy picking up a dude on the side of the road. Like how amazing is that story?
Yeah.
Like that's such a great story. And it just shows you how like one little act of kindness. I'm like, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that every time you stop on the side of the street, you're going to meet a billionaire. Like, I'm not saying that. Okay. Like, you know, but, there had to be something inside Stan's like, I got to pick this guy up. And it's not him. It's like, there's some sort of like divine thing that's like, yo, pick this dude up. He's going to help you out. And I just think that things like that are just so amazing. Like they just make you like love life. And they just make you love like the pattern and higher power and all these things, because it's like we're all so interconnected.
Yeah.
You know, I know. Anyways,
I was gonna say that's like the best part of being alive, and the parts of the stories that get missed out, because we tend to hyper focus on the stories of big grand things, and forget that they almost all of them originate with something really small and something unexpected, and something that does feel a bit like a nudge towards something, or an intuition about something, or a little like, oh, what's over there? I hadn't seen that before kind of feeling. And from there, beautiful things can blossom.
Keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
Keep going.
I was going to say, no. I wonder what our culture would be like if we focused instead on the beauty of those small interactions instead of on the grandeur of the outcomes.
Well, I think that this kind of, and look, we've talked about this before, and like, you know, to all of our listeners, right? Like, you have to understand that one thing about spirituality is that it's all the same shit. Like, I don't care if you talk about Buddhism or Kriya Yoga or shamanism, it's all kind of distills back to like the same kind of thing. And I think that one of the big things is this whole process versus outcome thing. We've talked about this before, but I think that what you're saying is that, you know, people get so wrapped up in the outcome. you know, and like and I think that that's kind of what's somewhat appalling about politics and a lot of what happens in the world nowadays, because it's so focused on just like one outcome. It's not like we don't talk about multiple outcomes. We talk about like one outcome, which is like I win, you lose, cool. Like that's fine. I don't care what happens to you now. I've won, and all that matters is if I win. And we have to pick a side. You know, like I think a good example of this was I was listening to a guy talk about this today. So like yesterday, the Americans won the Olympic gold medal for hockey. And to be fair, the Canadians were better the whole game. They should have, you know, they missed a couple empty nets, and the goalie for the Americans played amazing. And here's a funny fact. The Americans had not won an Olympic gold medal in men's hockey since 1980. It's been 46 years. So for the greatest country in the whole entire world, they have, you know, there's 32 teams in the NHL. They've got, I think there's 7 Canadian teams. So they've got 25 teams. They've got a population of 440 plus million. They've got unlimited money. And you hadn't won an Olympic gold medal in men's hockey in 46 years. They've been to the Olympic gold medal final twice before that. Once in Salt Lake, lost to Canada. Once in 2010 in Canada, lost to Canada. And then they went this year and they played Canada again. And like, look, Canada's just like they're randomly good at it. It's kind of like the Dutch being really good at speed skating. It's like for a population of nothing, they like dominate speed skating. We're really good at hockey. I don't know. It's probably just because there's a lot of people that are from rural Canada that got nothing better to do. Because, you know, you're not going to go play basketball out in -40. Like, you know, and what happens if the gym's not open? Like you can't, but you can go outside on a pond and you can play hockey. But anyway, why?
When it's -40, why are you outside?
Well, I don't know. You should ask them. I don't know. But so the point that I'm trying to make is that the Americans won. They won in an amazing fashion. They won in overtime. It was a great game. And everybody's got an opinion. Oh, Canada should do this. And at the end of the day, it was just a good game. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate that if you're a Canadian, it's unfortunate that you lost, but it was a good game. I think one of the most hockey things ever was the guy that scored the goal had actually had his teeth knocked out that game by accident. Some guy was falling in and a guy hit him in the face with a stick, and he had like his teeth knocked out. And he gave an interview after. This was one of the best interviews I've seen, because he said, we were outplayed. We got outplayed, but we found a way to win. And that's pure honesty. It's like, it's okay. Like, it's, you know, you think about it. They played 60 minutes. They each scored 1 goal. Both goalies played really great. And one team had to win. That's the unfortunate part. One team had to win. But the point is that, you know, you could have played 100 matches and each team could have won 50 times. It could have been a tie. They're both good enough to be like that. And I think that that's the point. Is it's like, no, it was just, yeah, it's great that one team won, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that the team that lost did something wrong too. It just happened to be that's the way it went. But you know, you can see it, like, right, because we're so tribal now, where people are like, oh yeah, like we beat Canada at their national sport. It's like, okay, well sure, you did. That's great. And then you have like Canadians being like, oh my God, like there's something wrong with our nation. We got to figure it. It's like, no, like we lost like if we had lost 10-1, yeah, okay, they're better than us. Like that's like a key point. But when you lose 2-1 in overtime, and the overtime was 3-on-3, which is like kind of not really kind of a joke. But anyways, like I think that's the point. We're so hyper focused on one thing now, which is I won, you lost, I'm better than you. Like, and you're like, well, it's a little bit more complex and nuanced than that.
And more beautiful. Like that way of seeing things is just kind of flat.
Well, and it was an amazing game. Like, I think my heart rate was like at like 90 beats per minute. Like I was sweating. I wasn't even there. I didn't get to play. I even said to Katie, I'm like, I don't know if I could go to these games if I had a kid playing. I'm gonna have to like go hiking. I'm like, hey, we're in Cortina. I'm gonna go hike. You know, it's like in Moneyball. Have you seen the movie Moneyball?
No.
Okay, so in Moneyball, There's a great scene where Brad Pitt brings in Jonah Hill. It's opening day for the Oakland Athletics. This is what Billy Bean's the GM of the Oakland Athletics, and he looks at Jonah Hill's his character name is Peter Brand, and he says, "Yeah, text me like scores." Jonah Hill's like, "Wait, you're not gonna watch the games?" He's like, "I never watch the games. Why would I watch the games?" He's working out. He's like, "I'm not watching this shit." And it's like, honestly, I'm not saying that I couldn't support my kid, but I'd be a mess. I'd have a paper bag, and I'd be hyperventilating. I wouldn't be able to sit still. Like no one, I'd have to buy tickets for the whole row, so there's no one around me, because I'd be like, hey, I need to like sprawl out and not watch. Anyways, it'd be too hard. Like I'd probably end up doing it and just like sweat and probably lose like 2 pounds in water weight while I'm watching my kid play. But God, it's hard.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I concur. That is probably what it will be like. Yes.
Be too hard. Be too hard. Be awesome. Be too hard. But I agree. It's so much more than that. Like it's so beautiful to watch people compete at a high level.
Yeah.
And it be so close. And and it's so much more than like it's just you watch all those guys, like they're the best players on their teams. They're the best, like that was the top 50 players probably in the world playing at that point. And like they put on like an absolute display. That's what should be remembered, not like who won and who lost, but it's just goes back to, we talked about this a long time ago, it goes back to how we have to quantify things.
Yeah.
And the only way to quantify them is in wins and losses and the amount of money you have in your bank account and the amount of I don't know. It's just that's how it is.
It's too bad there isn't a quantity for the amount of beauty you create in the world.
100%. And here's the best part, okay? So I'll give you a little sad story too, but not sad. It's a positive story, but sad story. So there was a guy that used to play for the Calgary Flames. His name was Johnny Gaudreau, and he ended up tragically dying like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. He got hit. He was riding his bike, and some guy tried to swerve around another car and hit him. Anyways, he was like one of the best American hockey players, and the captain of the team, his name's Austin Matthews. The assistant captain of the team, his name is Matthew Chuck, and he played with Johnny Gaudreau. And Zach Werenski, who's another assistant captain who also played with Johnny Gaudreau, they like brought out, when they won, they brought out his jersey, number 13, America, and they skated around the ice, and his parents were there and his kids were there, and they brought the kids out for the photo with the team, and they had their little jersey in there, and Austin Matthews was like, yeah, we had his jersey up in the locker room the whole tournament. We're like, we're gonna win this for this guy. What a great story. It's like, I'm totally fine as a Canadian to have them win. It's like, look, like that's so nice. And they even said, they're like, look, because the goalie played amazing. They're like, we know Johnny Gaudreau was in there because there were some times that we definitely should have had a goal go in and it didn't go in. And it's those are the little things that matter.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you won a gold medal, but like there was a bigger thing that Johnny Gaudreau's parents were there, and they were just all like crying in the stands, and it was like, that's just such a nice story. That there's something bigger, that you're like playing for something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
It could be like, oh yeah, I won a gold medal. And no, it's like we all came together, we bonded around this guy. Everybody on the American team knew this guy because he was like one of the best American players of his generation, and died suddenly, and they they had something to rally around, which is nice. I'll tell you one more hockey story, then you can talk. One more really cool hockey story.
Then I can talk. Thank you.
Then you can talk. One more cool hockey story. So there was this. Oh man, I gotta figure this out. Okay, so there's this guy named Bill Barilko. Okay, he won a Stanley Cup He like won 4 Stanley Cups with the Leafs, in 47, 48, 49, and 51, and then he died in a plane crash, and they like couldn't find his body. Anyways, the Leafs. I don't think the Leafs won a Stanley Cup until 1967, or hold on, when did they find his body? Let me just see. They found his body. They found his body. When did they find his body? They found his body, so 11 years later. So the Leafs didn't win a Stanley Cup from 52 till 62. But then when they found that guy's body, they won the Stanley Cup that year.
Wow.
So this guy died tragically the year they won the Stanley Cup.
Mm.
Couldn't find his body. They don't win a Stanley Cup for 11 years. You have to understand there's only like 6 teams, right? So it's like pretty statistically, like you should probably win once every 10 years, roughly. Not that many teams. Then they find his body and they win. Now that isn't that. Now that you want to talk about some like non-coincidence thing. Like that's an amazing thing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
That's my last hockey story.
Oh, that's okay. You keep telling hockey stories. They're great. I don't know any of them.
But so yeah. That, I just think Allison, it's just so, I think that of all the people that I know, like you can probably speak a lot to the serendipity, because I think a lot of your life is like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of things in your life that you've probably been like, I got no idea how this is going to work out, but I know someone's going to help me figure it out.
It's my whole life. And I find, for the most part, I mean, not always, because I'm, still very human, but I find for the most part, I'm really grateful for those moments. Those small moments are the big moments, which probably doesn't make any sense, but paradoxically, right? Like those moments of beauty, those moments of connection, those are the parts of a day that I remember most. Those are the parts of my life that I treasure and value the most. I love it when things happen like that, where, here's an example. I was grocery shopping the other day, and there were some people standing outside wanting, like with those petitions to donate money. I never donate on those, because I once did it years ago, and then my credit card was stolen.
What?
Yeah, because, they have you put your credit card number down. So I just blanketly would just ignore. I would say, oh, that's really nice, but I'm not going to donate. And this day it's pouring rain out, and I had decided to walk to the grocery store. And I was grumpy. I was like proper grumpy that day. Not because of the rain. I like the rain, but just for whatever reason. And on my way...
I couldn't imagine you as grumpy. You just like, I'm mad. And you're like...
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah. I'm walking down the street just like, I'm grumpy.
Like a smile on your face. Like, I'm grumpy.
So I going into the store, this guy with like sunglasses that have hearts here and then stars around the heart is standing outside, and he asked to talk to me, and I said, no, I need to grocery shop. And then he's like, I'll talk to you on the way out. And I was like, no, you won't. I will find a way around this interaction. Anyway, I didn't. I come out. He starts telling me about otters. Otters are cute.
I love otters.
They're so cute. But I still was like, I don't want to donate to this. And then I remembered that someone I knew used to have this job where they would have to go solicit money from people for these causes. And he would tell me about all the abuse that he would endure. People slamming doors in his face, people ignoring him, people just like really rude, yelling at him. I thought, why don't I just donate? It's like $30. It's
like I just spent like what score? Please tell me you went to like a did you go to like an LA grocery store? Or did you go to like a Trader Joe's? There's a difference.
Oh, I mean, there's Trader Joe's in LA.
No, I'm just saying, like, did you go to like one of those, like, I can't remember what they're called. Like,
Erewhon? No, I did not go to Erewhon.
Because I was like, I'm like, if you'd went to Erewhon, you're like, I just bought 4 almonds for $50. It's like you just spent like,
Yeah, that would be very funny if I went to Erewhon, but no, I'm not. I'm not at an Erewhon level of grocery
I'm just
shopping
saying.
in my life right now. Erewhon's like an Apple store for food.
Well, it's
It's very
weird.
sterile.
Yeah, I know. It's funny.
um,
Anyways, keep
but in
going.
any case, yeah. So I I thought, okay, I'll just do this. So anyway, I do it. And this is about the interaction piece of two really cool things that happened because of this. So first of all, the guy said to me he had been out there since 10 o'clock in the morning. So he'd been out there for 6 hours. I was the first person who donated. And he was in his training phase and he needed to have at least one person donate to get hired.
Oh, good.
So I
I
was
love
like,
that.
oh, that's great, you know?
Plus, you helped
And
otters. Oh, I love
oh,
otters.
yeah, otters are so great. Um, And then coming back around, I ended up telling the person about this interaction and how he had inspired it, because I was like, I only did it really because you told me about your story. And also, I had a way to pay without giving him my credit card
Hmm.
information, which made a big difference rather. Um, anyway, so I told him, and it totally took him from my day is like, to like, wow. And it's just
I love that.
such a small example, but I'm never going to forget that guy with the heart glasses and the stars around them and how happy he was and just like how happy the other guy was, and it was such a special thing. And
Yeah.
then I was like skipping back to the house. Well,
Like,
I
I'm
mean, I
not
was
grumpy
laden with
anymore.
no, I was not grumpy. I mean, I was laden with groceries, so it was hard to skip because I was carrying them all, but I was like skipping in my heart, back to the house.
I think that it just shows you just like how easy it is.
Mhm.
It's not that hard.
No,
I
it
will
really
tell
is
you,
not that hard.
there's a really cool little otter story in Vancouver. So
Mm.
there, I'm pretty sure it was a sea otter.
Hmm.
So there's this like koi pond in
Uh-huh.
Vancouver, and this otter like found a way to like get to the koi pond and was eating the koi fish. Okay, and Vancouver couldn't find him, and like they would like stake him out. They'd set traps, all this kind of stuff. And he'd find a way around, eat the koi fish, and they're all mad because like, oh my god, like the koi fish are done. And there's all these people being like, oh, we want the otter to win. I can't remember what actually happened, but I just think it's so funny. I'm like, I love that. Like some city is like up in arms. The city, like, we got to deal with this rogue otter. And it's like this otter, like this is sweet. I should tell my friend. Actually, I'm not gonna tell anybody because it's like my little hole that I go to. I'm like, ooh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna have this koi fish. Dee, 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 dee. And then he like goes back to the ocean. And they're like, well, what'd you eat? Well, I can't tell you. What did you guys have today? Well, I ate a bunch of like seaweed, and we had to like I had to like really work on this urchin to open it up and eat it. And so he's like, yeah, well, I went to my hole again, and I had a koi fish.
They're really clever. There was an otter, at least one that was terrorizing surfers in Santa Cruz. It was a similar sort of thing where people were really rooting for the otter. He was knocking people off. I don't know how the otter
I
was
love
knocking
that.
people off of their surfboards, but he was.
That's
And it
great.
was, I know.
He's essentially like, yo, get out of my like. This is my like where I live. Okay,
Yeah,
like I don't want. I'm like because they lie on their back. They're so cute. They lie on their
I
back and they're
know.
like eating. And then there's some dude that's like on a surfboard, like sweet. And then it's like he's like, screw this guy. I'm gonna mess with this dude now. I'm gonna screw around with this guy. I'm gonna like dolphin him in the chest, like just breach out of the water, hit him in the chest. He flies off. He gets all like wrapped up in the surf. I'm like, ha ha ha.
They're really cute and they are aggressive. When I've been diving in Monterey Bay and there have been otters and they'll definitely come and like pull off your mask and like play.
They're all dude. They're legit.
Yeah,
They're
they're
legit.
great.
They're great. They're like super
Hmm.
cute, and they're just so cute to just see them floating down the ocean, just like
Just like all like this and like
oh
they look like they have little mustaches, like little
oh
old man mustaches. I know they're so cute.
they are so cute. I love that. It's so great. The okay. So have you seen The Aviator? Okay, so do you know who Howard Hughes is?
He was a eccentric man, right? Was he the eccentric who lived kind of all by himself?
Yeah, but he was also like a billionaire.
Oh, I didn't know that part. I
Like so
assumed.
he like his company owns like a good chunk of the real estate in Los Angeles, but he started a defense contracting company. he like set a bunch of world records when it came to land speed for air. He like went around the world really fast. I think he went around the world in like, he like set a record back then for like, it was like 3 days or 4 days where he like was dating Katharine Hepburn, I'm pretty sure. I think it was Katharine Hepburn. Yeah, it was Katharine Hepburn. Okay, so the reason I bring this up, so like he grew up like uber poor, right? And I think Katharine Hepburn did not grow up uber poor. There's a great scene in that movie where he's at this like table with all of Katharine Hepburn's family, and they're all talking, and he's kind of hard of hearing, and they're all kind of like being kind of mean to him, right? And he's just like eating, like you can just see because he's got severe OCD, and there's like this is touching this, and he's just like, oh my god. And then anyways, like Katharine Hepburn's mom says something along the lines of like, yeah, well we don't really care about money. And he looks at her and he's like, yeah, it's because you've always had it. And then she's like, can you please repeat that? You've always had it. And he like gets up and leaves the table. And I was like, I love this man. I'm like, there is nothing. And they're talking about how we're only socialists, and you're this, and you're just like, it's because you like didn't have to do anything. Like this guy's out there busting his balls, like, you know, putting all like building cool planes and like producing all these movies and all this stuff, right? And there's these people just, you know, existing, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was like the greatest call out. I forgot how good this movie was. I forgot how good that scene was. Just their faces were like it was like every single one of them got kicked in the balls. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. I love when people like that get called out. People that are just, you know, they just think just a little too highly of themselves. So yeah.
Do you think that's true? That people who have money don't think about it?
Oh, for sure they don't. They don't. They don't. You can, you know, that's my view. I think it depends. I think that if you didn't grow up with money and you made a lot of money, I think you do. But I think that the longer it goes on that you always have money, it's kind of something that you just kind of think you don't really have to think about anymore. Like if you think about it, right? Like if you buy something yourself, like I know this for a fact for me, where anything that I've bought for myself, I value a heck of a lot more than if someone gave it to me. It's different. Like it's different in the sense that if I earned it and I did it, I feel like there's just a little bit of a different feeling I have towards it than if like someone just gave me something. It's not the same thing. Now
That's really interesting.
Yeah. It depends on the thing too. Like if the thing was given to me like in a sentimental way, it's one thing. But if it's just like hey, I bought this for you for Christmas, or hey, I did this, it's just a little different. That's all. I find.
I think I still do. I'm just thinking, I was going to say I used to, but it probably would still exist if people were buying me things. I have a thing around, I wouldn't want someone to buy me something that I wouldn't buy for myself.
That's
Because
fair.
then I would value it the same for me. It would be the same value because I would value whatever it was for its own sake. But if I wouldn't spend my own money on it, or if I couldn't afford it myself or whatever, I would usually ask that people not buy it, because then it just would feel not, I don't know, equivalent.
Yeah, well, I also think it comes down to like, do you actually want it or not, right? There's
Yeah.
definitely things I've gotten that I'm like, I don't care how expensive this is. I don't really care because it's like I don't really need it. Where like my wife got me this book. I talked to you about this last week. This book for Valentine's Day. It was like, you know, the first book that I read to my kid, and it's me and Juliet on an adventure. Like that's got a ton of meaning to me. It's got a ton of meaning to me. So I think that, but I do think that, yeah, I think that if you have money, I don't think you think about it. It depends. Like if you've made it, it's different. But it's a lot easier to spend somebody else's money than your own. At least that's what I think. It's my experience.
Yeah, and I guess I feel the opposite about that. But I didn't grow up with a lot. I mean, I grew up fine, but I didn't grow up with
Yeah, I didn't grow up with a ton either, but like my
like
parents,
the
my
Hepburns or
no,
whatever.
like that's different. That's like generational. Like that's
Yeah,
like where like you're on the third or fourth generation, right? Like it's just different.
yeah,
Um, I think it's really, at that point you have no idea. Like you don't like there are people that don't even know how they made the money.
yeah.
You know, like, and then there's no like it's different. It's just different. Like that's why all these like you think about it, right? Like all the legacy families in the States or legacy families in Europe and right and whatnot, right? Like it's like it doesn't actually matter. Like the money isn't like look, money is great. It like solves a lot of problems. And the biggest thing is you need purpose, right? So it's like the problem is that when you lose your purpose, then that's kind of when it gets really difficult, right? Just because I think we kind of vilify a lot of the extremely wealthy people out there. And it's like, hey, look, like they're doing what they think's right, but even worse, like if they're the kids, they had nothing to do with what these people are doing. Like they just were born into the world. This just happens to be there. You know, whatever those people choose to find meaning in it's their choice. Like they get to do what they want to do. And some of them go and do great things, and some of them go and do other things. But um, you know, I'll tell you right now that if you had their life, you probably like, it's pretty easy to throw stones when you don't know what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Did you feel like I was throwing stones?
no, no, no. I'm just saying in
Oh,
general. I
oh,
think
okay.
society likes to throw stones.
Oh, okay.
People are like, oh, well, your family did this. It's like, okay,
Mm.
I didn't do it, so move on.
Yeah.
Like you saw that with like Oppenheimer, right? Like his kids were significantly vilified like for his stuff wasn't even proven. Like it just was like the U.S. security apparatus like going after him because he pissed off a couple people. But like his kids dealt with it for like their whole lives, and they had nothing to do with it. Like they say, I like he's just my dad. I like I
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do with it. Like it wasn't me. Like
Yeah.
you know, that's why like I think the hard part for anybody that's like had like a parents that are famous or wealthy or whatever it is, right? It's like just like that shadow just looms
Yeah.
so large.
Yeah.
It's a very long shadow,
Yeah.
and that's why it's so imperative that you figure out what success is for you and you work on yourself and you unentangle yourself from all that stuff, because if you let that shadow continue to engulf you, right, there's so much out of your control. Like you can't let other people determine whether or not you're successful or not. You got to determine that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
you know like I could you could go look at me playing amateur golf and say I didn't have a successful career. I think I finished fifth in one tournament, and like I didn't make the cut at the Canadian Amateur and all these kind of things, right? But I think what my amateur golf career showed me was I can, if I really need to perform, while maybe I didn't win tournaments, but if I had to make a putt to do something, like I had to make a putt to make the cut or make a putt to qualify, I found a way to do it. And I have multiple examples of it. So I'm like, hey, that for me was success. I learned a lot from it, right? It's not about the outcomes. It's about what did you learn? Did you get
Yeah.
something from it?
Yeah.
And I think that's yeah.
Yeah. Those long shadows that you're talking about, they made me think of a line from an Amy Mann song called Momentum. Do you know her music at all? Are you
You
familiar
know
with?
what? I don't.
Huh. Wow.
You
Uh,
win this one.
no, it's not about winning.
No, no, I'm just saying that like I get to sit here and be like, this is great. I get to learn about Amy Mann. So I'm pretty pumped.
Amy Mann's music was the basis of, well, I think it was the basis of, or she provided the soundtrack to Magnolia.
Okay.
So you probably are familiar with her music if you've seen that movie.
I haven't even seen that movie.
You've not seen Magnolia.
No.
Wow. Okay. Um, so she has a song called Momentum.
Uh-huh.
The lyrics are brilliant. Um, I won't say the whole thing because you could just look them up, but it was making me think of this one line. Uh, oh, for the sake of momentum, I'm condemning the future to death so it can match the past.
That's interesting.
It's a great line.
And
Um,
what's your what do you take from that line?
well, so when we're talking about these long shadows of people that are cast over us, whether it's through fame or money or something else that's happened, right? Like families can have their own insular stories and notoriety, right, of family members that aren't known outside the family but can still cast really significant shadows on children.
For sure.
Um, that what ends up happening is rather than breaking out of that cycle of whatever that shadow is or whatever cycle that family's been in, it's like for the sake of momentum, meaning like it's just the habit and the pattern that we've been going through. You just condemn the future, meaning you don't do anything different so that it repeats the pattern from the past, right?
No, it's
Yeah.
like essentially like, and that's kind of why there's all these algorithms that exist
Mm-hmm.
of human behavior. There's just it's like, okay, you had here's your initial conditions,
Mm-hmm.
here's what you added to the initial conditions, and here's how you're not getting out of those conditions, and this is what happens to you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's why I think that's just why like working with like the people that I work with, like the kid, like the two people that I mentor, um, like they were brought into my life because for some odd reason the language that I use resonates with them, and eventually that language will not resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a vision with one of the kids that I work with. He's not a kid; he's like in his 20s, but he's a kid to me. But he's like 20 something, 23 or 22. But anyways, I write him a letter. He's going into the final round of this like major prestigious tournament, and you and I can talk about this because like I can see him winning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I know he's going to win, but I just know he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And so I write in this letter, being like, okay, I give him the letter, and I say, you open this after the round. Like, don't open this now. And it shows him reading it, and it's like, okay, you won. Don't ask how I knew. I just did. And I essentially am writing this letter being like, look, man, I'm giving you this piece of advice here that I'm going to give you now that, I can't work with you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've given you all I got. It's like that movie Legend of Bagger Vance when he gets to the 18th hole and like Bagger Vance just like leaves him.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's up in arms. But Matt Damon's like, no, like internally he's like, I know he did everything he needed for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and he leaves him right at the like the crescendo of what's about to happen, right? He's got to make this putt to tie everybody. And he's like, yeah, I'm out. Okay. And like, and this guy named the narrator, who's a kid, his name's Harvey, is just like, wait, no, like you can't leave. He's like, I'm going. And when he makes the putt and he hears the roar, Bagger Vance is walking along the beach and he does this little jig because he's like, I knew he was going to make the putt.
Yeah.
But it's like he wasn't there for golf. He was there to help Randolph
Yeah.
Juna heal inside. And that's kind of how I have this vision. I don't know. It keeps coming back over and over and over again. And I'm like, all right, well, this is probably, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But it's just a vision that I keep having because it's at some point, you have to let these people go because they have to realize that they already have everything they need inside.
Yeah.
It's just, at some point, that's just kind of what happens. But I agree with that Amy Mann song. It's like I'm damning the future to
Condemning the future to match the past.
Yeah, exactly. I'm condemning the future to match the past. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I guess condemning the future to death so it can match the past, which is more powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is
It's
more
a great
powerful.
song. If you've not heard it,
I'm gonna do
yeah,
Amy Man.
it's AIMEE.
There it is. All right. Well, I think I like that was good. We kind of jumped all over the place. Talked about hockey. Talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs. Talked about guy picking up a Walmart air on the side of the road in Texas.
It's great.
It's great. Talked about Amy Mann. Talked about the Galapagos Islands, and that you donated to a great little charity that helps otters. Like, how awesome is that?
I know, so great.
Love otters. Anyways, everybody, thanks for listening. As always, we really appreciate it. We're quite. It's always a blast to do these things. I have no idea what we're going to talk about when we come in, and it's just we always find a way. There's just like a little thread that we go on, and we go, and I just love that. So, thanks again for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you.